For me, the sound is good.
It's good for me too. So, hi, Robert. My name is Tori Chrisman. I don't know if you've ever seen any of my videos or not.
Yes, and I heard your name mentioned from several people. Nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you too. So, thank you for coming on. We had on T from Australia because we thought we had a different time set. So, anyway, a bunch of people were here, and because you weren't, and then Kelly realized it was 11, it wasn't 8. So, anyway, we apologized, but in the meantime, we had T on, and that was great. We just had a nice talk.
Yeah.
And so this is Robert, the infamous ex-Scientologist, author, and God knows what else. But it sounds like I've listened to a few of your interviews. You've done a lot of stuff so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've done various things. I wrote 2 books on science. The first one was in 2011, which was my own story because I spent 20 years in Scientology. So, and I was never in the C organization, the elite organization, but I was 20 years in ordinary churches, so to speak. So,
and you were on staff for a little bit, right? 2.5 years.
I was staff for 2.5 years. That's correct. Yes, and that's basically how I started as a Scientologist. I was recruited from the street. Very simple. I took the OCA, the personality test, and they convinced me that this was my path. I was 20 years old, and the test was good. It hit straight on, and yeah. So that's how it started. So I wrote a book about that because it was quite an eventful exit. And then I wrote my latest book in 2024. Yeah, here is the picture of the first book. The Defector is the English title.
Yeah, The Defector. I love that title. Good title.
Yeah, thank you. And then
and that people can get on Amazon, right?
Right, it's on Amazon. Yes, that's correct.
Right, good. And you're from Denmark, am I correct?
Yeah, correct.
I love that whole area. You know, Andreas in Norway was the person who helped me actually wake up finally and escape out.
All right.
And then he said, "Why don't you come to Norway?" And I said, "I don't even have a passport." So anyway, I didn't even know where I was born. I knew I was the city I was born in, but I didn't know what hospital. And he's a computer geek, so he tracked the whole thing down, got my birth certificate, sent it to me. Then I got the passport, saved up for about a year, and then I went to Norway, and we had so much fun. I just fell in love with the whole area. I've never been around people so happy. I mean, it's just amazing, and I'm sure Denmark, I've heard, is the same.
We are kind of competing on that parameter. I think Iceland is #1, or Finland probably, but it's like a competition. They have these surveys, or what you call it, where they try to establish the most happy country in the world, and we're usually in like the top 5 or 6. I don't know why, or if it has any truth in it, but it's just as a joke. We try to compete, who is more happy than who. But anyway, to me, it's a nice country, and Scandinavia is lovely, and the climate is. I mean, we have cold winters, but in general, the climate is friendly, and yeah, and there's a lot of trust in these countries. I mean,
incredible. I mean, it was amazing for me to see. Coming from America, where it's just like everyone's like totally paranoid, and I mean that's an exaggeration, but it like I arrived in Oslo, and Andreas said, "Let's get something to eat," and he put his wallet down. He had a big thick wallet with credit cards on it. He put it on the table, and he went to the. And when he came back, I said, "Andreas, you left your wallet on the table," and I was like really worried for him. And he burst out laughing. He said, "Tori, you're not in America anymore. You're in Norway, and nobody has they don't have a reason to steal anything from me. And that was an education all the time I was there. It was like, wow, you know, the bikes, they just set them down. And I said, nobody would take them. And he said, no, they don't have any reason to take them. Is it that way in Denmark?
It's not quite that way. There are quite a number of bikes are getting stolen by the drunken youth, the juveniles, and when they get, I mean, they steal a bike and they drop it somewhere. But of course, we do have crime. We do have all that stuff. That's for sure. But it's a good example of the trust I was mentioning, and you were talking about. I was out Friday. I was out filming because my daily work is doing branding and graphics and that kind of stuff, advertising. And I was out filming an event, which was an open air concert, and I had my camera and my bag with all my lenses and stuff in it. And I left the bag in an open room, and I just left it there. And I went out on the pitch because it was an outside concert. I went out there filming it. I went back into my bag with all the lenses, changed the lenses, put new batteries, and dropped the bag there. And the door was not locked. It was not even closed, and people just walking past it all the time, and nobody took it. And I knew nobody.
Wow.
That's fine. No worries. And, you know. So, but of course, it's not a paradise. We do have crime. We do have drugs. We do have these things, but maybe less. I don't know really, but anyway, for me it's a nice. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
No.
Also because this is my language, this is my culture, this is my family, everything's here. So
now, are you married? Do you have children?
yes, I am married. I'm married to the woman I met when I was on staff.
Oh, nice.
We've been married for quite a while.
Wow. And you both left together?
Yeah. Oh yes, we did. Yeah. But that was one of the things that was pretty tricky, because when I started telling her about everything I found out and all my research about the church and the true history of the church and who was Hubbard actually, what type of person, and what all the things that happened, all the scandals, it's a terrible story. You know it probably much better than I, but I was digging into it, particularly on the European scene, because there was a lot of these hierarchy managers and executives who had disappeared and nobody knew where they were. And then the internet came and helped us. So of course, as you know, I was not allowed to study that, but at some point I did. And when I started talking to my wife about all that I found out, I mean, it was an eye opener. Then of course she didn't want to talk to me about it. She asked me if my ethics was weak, or I'd been committing sins, or all this kind of thing. She attacked me right away, as she's supposed to. She's trained to do. I was as well. So it was a very tricky conversation, and she ended up saying that she didn't want to hear any more of my bullshit, and I could leave it alone. I should try to straighten out my own ethics and all this stuff, which was expectable, and I had to back off and not talk about it. So it went on for like 2 or 3 weeks. I couldn't talk about it, and she was coming in the organization every day to take her auditor training or whatever. She was on some training. So I waited every day. I expected to hear to have an ethics officer in the phone, because she was supposed to report me all that I said and so on. She was of course supposed to report me to the ethics office. So I was just waiting to have the call on the phone, and then everything would fall apart. She would be forced to divorce me. At that point, we had 2 small children. I expected I would lose her and I would lose my 2 daughters, and lose everything. So it was like that for 2 or 3 weeks, and I had this feeling in my stomach. It was like, so I just waited for everything to fall apart and losing my life basically. She didn't do anything. She didn't report me. And after, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 weeks, she came to me and said, I'll grant you the benefit of the doubt and let's talk. I'm ready to hear what you have to say. And then we went a day off our respective jobs, and we just talked for the whole day. And we cried, and we talked, and we talked. And
that's so great. Oh,
yeah,
I wish that had happened with my husband, because that didn't happen. But he stayed in.
right.
I was married to him for 26 years, but you know, they had me doing all this stuff for OSA. My auditor did. So I wasn't working for OSA. I was like literally a volunteer just helping him. And he wouldn't tell me what he was doing. He said, I can't tell you. It's too evil. But he said, I'm handling it. So all you have to do is open the phony accounts, which are like email accounts. Get me a password and I'll handle it. And I don't want you going on the internet because it'll screw you up. So I did that. And he, you know, it took me a while because they started getting more and more mafia-like.
Yeah.
And I started, you know, doing my own. But see, my husband wasn't in on that at all. They knew he wouldn't do it. His parents got in 1950. So
Okay.
yeah, so he was in for the whole ride.
1950.
So,
That was the year.
Huh?
That was the year of the Dianetic book.
Of Dianetics, right? So they would go to all the different congresses. They were there, and they had, you know, have you ever had them where you live, where they put the big all the photographs of the people in 1950? They have a whole big kind of thing that they show, and his mother and father are in those photographs from 1950.
Okay.
So anyway, they ended up being OT8, well, the father was OT7, the mother got to OT8. The father was like, I'm done with this. You know, because I asked him, I said, what was your win for OT7? And he goes, you really want to hear my win? And I said, I really do. And he goes, all right, here's my win. Now I can give the money I want to the charities I want.
Wow.
And are you a trained auditor?
Yeah, no, but just a book one auditor. I was auditing a book one, so I'm only trained for that, and method one and solo auditing. I'm OT church. I went up to OT5, but I'm not.
But you know what a red tag is, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And a red tag, for anybody listening, is someone who didn't really have a win. You know, that saying, now I can give the money I want to the charities I want, is a really bad thing in Scientology. So I wrote it up to them, and he died shortly after that. It wasn't because of my KR, but he wasn't doing well. He really wasn't. And his wife stayed in and did OTA.
Sorry, Tori, did he pass away? Or what did you say?
He passed away. He passed away. Yeah. He had, I think they said he had a stroke, you know, because we were over at some of his families here around LA, and he showed up one night with his wife, and he was just drenched, sweating. And we said, what's going on? And she said, I don't know. He got lost, and he just got so upset about it. And none of us knew about strokes at the time, which that's actually something we should have gone, all right, take him to the hospital. But we didn't. And he said, no, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. But then shortly after that, he had a big stroke and died.
Okay. Yeah.
So there you go. But anyway, my ex-husband ended up staying in and remarrying someone, and he's still part of Scientology.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though he was a mess. I don't know if you know many OT8s, do you?
I know a couple.
They're pretty screwed up, most of them. The cramming officer at the Free Winds, which is where they deliver OT8, left and called me. And I said, what happened? Why did you leave? And she said, okay, I left because there are so many OT8s who are either seriously sick, they're dead, or they took their own lives. And she said, I just couldn't support it anymore. So I left.
Wow.
And I know a lot of OT8s, and most of them are pretty screwed up. You know, because it doesn't, you know, it's a bunch of BS. It doesn't work. It's just more OT3, really. So anyway, you did OT5, which that's where a lot of people got screwed up. So it's a good thing you got out.
Yeah,
Because
I did OT5, and then I went on in the free zone because
what did? Oh, in the free zone you did?
yeah, I was done with the church because, but at that time, it's funny how these realizations they sometimes happens in a chain. Like it starts. It's not for me. It wasn't one big realization at first.
No.
I realized that management was corrupt. You know that
Right.
Gavitz had made a coup and the finance police and all the things that happened. I read all about all of that. And I could see how that made sense. The church was more a money machine and blah blah blah, all that thing. But I still believed in my bridge. I still believed in the tech, so to speak. So it was like, and it was a gradient series of events that made me finally leave it. But it took me a number of years. We went down to the free zone in Germany. Very kind people, nice people. They were drinking herb tea in the breaks. They were not pressuring us for money. They were taking it easy, chilling out.
Right.
They had a course room. There was a supervisor. There was a clay table. But it was chill and no pressure. And it was amazing to experience the tech in these circumstances. It was quite amazing that you could do these things without being under constant pressure, without having to pay enormous sums of money. You know, the ethics officer, everything. So I did down there. I did their OT7. They call it Excalibur, but it's
Oh, you did?
yeah, I did the Excalibur, and that's the same as OT7. The Solar Notch OT7 in the church, equivalent, same thing. So I did that, and I did the original OT7. That was before Notch and all that. How far did you go, Tori?
OT7 for
Okay.
7 years. I was on it for 7 years.
All right.
Trying to get off of it, and just kept getting okay, continue, and I finally just woke up. That was it.
Yeah, excellent. Good decision. And after I finished Excalibur, I started on the original OT7, the one that Howard did before Notch and all that stuff came out. And that was, it went on for maybe 5-10 hours. And I said to the auditor, there's no use to do that because every time you ask me a new question, I know exactly where it leads and what cognition I'm supposed to have, and all that is past. And he said, yeah, I can't find anything to run. So Robert, I'll let you go because there's nothing. I have no reads on the email. I just have a floating TA. There's nothing we can do here. They can't run anything.
Wow, good, Robert.
I'll just let you off. He was cool. I mean, he was really cool. Totally
Yeah.
different. Nobody in the church would ever have said anything like that.
No, never.
But anyway,
And I was the opposite. I had no wins on OT7, not one. And
okay.
they came to interview me from Gold, and they said, "We want to get your wins on OT7." And they were young kids, and I said, "Okay, listen to me carefully. I don't have one win on OT7, not one." And they said, they all kind of turned white, and I said, "Look, I have wins on training, but not on auditing. I just don't." Because I remember, I don't know if you know my story, but I have epilepsy.
Okay, yeah. Oh yes, yeah.
And I was in the Sea Org, and then I ran out of my medicine. So I went and told them, and they said, you have to go through the MLO. And the MLO was some 18-year-old kid who said, you know, we're the top 10% of the planet. We don't take medicine. And, you know, we're routing you out. They basically routed me out of the Sea Org with a program from LRH saying you have to handle epilepsy, and then you can come back to the Sea Org. So all of my auditing was, and remember, well, you're not a trained auditor, but you might know this policy, but it's a thing you can't have case gain if you're auditing over a present time problem. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, I do, yes.
Okay, so epilepsy was a present time problem for me. Do you see what I mean? I
Mhm.
was, and people would constantly come up to me and say, did this level handle epilepsy? Are you off your medicine? And, you know, the medicine, thank God, my mom got me back on it and said, look, they're going to kill you. You're getting back on your medicine. My grandfather was a doctor. And I'm sure he said to her, get her on her medicine today. And she did. She said, either you're on your medicine or I'm going to fly out there. And believe me, L. Ron Hubbard and the Church of Scientology will never forget your mother. And
Good, excellent. I love
yeah,
that.
I knew my mom. She could kick serious ass. And my dad was on TV as a broadcaster for football here in the United States.
Yeah.
So I knew they had media lines, and I thought, I know my mom. She's not going to come and bawl them out. She's going to get on TV and tell people, don't let your kids get it. You know, she would have done a whole number on. And who wants to have seizures anyway? I didn't. So I was happy to take the medicine.
Of course. Yeah.
Even though a lot of Scientologists are very still, even though they're out, they're still anti-medicine. It's amazing to me.
I know these, and they are anti psychologists. It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
to get an ex Scientologist who need psychological help. They won't go to a psychologist. They
Yeah.
just, it sits so deep. It's rooted so deep in you that, and also the anti medicine thing. It's really.
And tons of them, Robert, are voting. Like, how is Donald Trump in office? I mean, they're not the only ones. Half the country is voting for him. Half the country is not. But a ton of ex-Scientologists are for him.
Yes.
Tons of them. And you'd think, wait a minute, you just got out of a cult with Hubbard, who's very similar to him. You know, they're both kind of narcissists, not good with women, you know, bad with the kids, the whole thing.
They are extremely similar, even physically.
Yeah, right.
And the whole characters. So I also, when we talk about Trump, we try not to talk too much about him because
I know.
it's too much and it's too ridiculous. The whole thing is too ridiculous. But
I just had to mention it to you because I think it's an amazing thing that these guys got out of a cult,
yeah.
and yet they're voting for this knucklehead.
They got into another cult.
Yeah.
From one cult to the other. But I when we talk about Trump, I used to say Hubbard because I confuse the two all the time. I think
Who do you call? What do you say?
Type of character. Sorry?
What do you call him?
Hubbard.
Oh, Hubbard.
I do that, but it's not deliberate. But they're so much the same thing. And I know also some ex-Scientologists. Many of them I know they all still vote for Trump because they are just not out of the cult yet. They haven't.
That's right. That's right. And that's a big part of it, I think, because I've talked to a lot of them, and none of them will really dive in and learn about L. Ron Hubbard.
Right.
So see, they all left because of David Miscavige.
Yes.
But they're still pretty pro L. Ron Hubbard. And that's because they never really looked into it. They don't really know who he is.
They don't want to. They don't want to let go. They have not done. I mean, I used to say that there's a learning curve in any experience in life, and that experience is basically offered to you so you can learn something about yourself. And that's just that's my like philosophy or whatever.
No, I believe it. I think you're right.
Yeah, and the cult experience was offered to me so I could learn about myself and could learn about people and the human psychology and everything, getting wiser, and that's why it was offered to me, and I learned a heck of a lot from that. I mean, I'm grateful in a way because I'm much wiser than if I hadn't been with that.
I know. I feel that way too. I have that part of me that goes, thank God I did do the stuff that I did, because I would have never gotten out without being part of that.
Yeah,
you know, it helped me see who they were.
With these ex-Scientologists who's like going into the MAGA cult and voting for Trump and everything. I'm just thinking they haven't gotten the full benefit of the cult experience yet.
No.
They still need to learn something from that experience, and they hadn't got it all from the Scientology thing. So they need something else so they can enlighten themselves and get wiser and get the same benefits as I got from the cult experience. And that's just for them maybe a longer learning curve, or they need more experiences or whatever. So that's the way I tend to view it.
Yeah. And how is it in Denmark? I mean, do they have ideal orgs there and stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we do. We have a big ideal org in the middle of Copenhagen, which is a class 5 org. It's just called DK org, and they have a huge building, of course, huge, nice, expensive.
And is it run by Sea Org?
No, that's class 5 org, and then we have Sea Org. I mean, because we have a lot of Sea Org in Copenhagen, because Copenhagen is the European headquarters for.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can do your OT levels there, right?
Up to OT5, yeah. I did up to OT5, and that's also in central. It's a little different location, but it's also in central Copenhagen. And then we have a little bit outside in the industrial areas of Copenhagen. We have New Era Publications. They do all the books and course packs and all that stuff. All the translated versions are done there. And then we have CLO, which is Continental Liaison Office, which is the management of Europe, all of Europe. So we have three Sea Orgs in Copenhagen. So Copenhagen is definitely the center of Scientology in all of Europe.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'd heard it, but you just forget. I'm always happy when I forget things from Scientology. It's like, oh, good, I can't remember that.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, good for you for getting out, and then you made a documentary, right?
I made a 3-episode documentary, yes, on one of the national television stations. It was broadcast back in 2015, and we got an enormous success. I mean, about 1 million. Denmark is a very tiny country. We are only like 5.5 million people, but almost.
That's how much is in LA.
Yeah, exactly, in the whole country. But we had about 1 million viewers, which is about 20% of the entire population. So
that's good.
It was produced by Warner Brothers Denmark, and it was broadcast on TV2, which is one of the two the main television stations. And they were really happy with the success, and it was a huge success and so on. There was 3 episodes, basically about my story and my 20 years in Scientology, how I got in, how I got out, and everything. And we went over to you guys in LA to view the different Big Blue and the Celebrity Center and everything. And we went to, of course, to Clearwater, of course.
Right.
We went out to the base also in Hemet, the Gilman Hot Springs, and they came out screaming and shouting, and the police came by. The police came by. So the television crew that I brought, we were 5 people. They were over the moon because they were magic.
That's the thing. So great.
I think 8 of them, and it appeared that one of them was a guy called John Stumke, who was one of my inquisitors because I was held captured at Flak for 21 days, and I was interrogated by 5 different interrogators. One of them was Martin Rathbone, and one of them was Mick McFarlane, and one of them was John Stumke. And John Stumke and Martin Rathbone, they could scare the shit out of me because they still had my wife and my family, and they threatened me that they would take everything away if I didn't give in and admit to some hilarious accusations. It was totally crazy. They kept me for 21 days. And anyway, when I came back...
That's right. They locked you in, right?
They just took my passport.
Yeah. But why did they do that? And I remember I heard another one of your interviews, and you said they were trying to threaten that you stole a bunch of money.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Where did they get that from?
Because I was at that point working in the printing industry, and we were printing magazines for the church. And the church here in Europe, we were printing for all of Europe. The Advance, the Auditor, these magazines, and we printed lots of translated books. And the church was in trouble after the internet came out. The internet came out here in Denmark in '94, and that caused all the stats to crash, basically. Tori, I need to tell you something, because I hear now a car arriving, and that is because my wife is coming back with my oldest daughter and her 2 children. They've both been sick with fever, not seriously, but they both have fever. So if you sense a little bit of noise in a short while, it's because
no. We can end off. I don't want you to have to not see them. I mean, they're just coming home. Do you want to end off? We could.
But my wife went to pick them up because I have 2. No, it's not. I can see it's not her car. So we are fine. It's just we can even carry on. That's fine. It's just I just want to tell you if you hear some noise. But I can see on my app that the car is still parked at their house, and that's like half an hour from here. So we are fine for now.
Okay, we're good for now.
My oldest daughter, and she has 2 small children, a boy 3.5 years old, and a little girl who is only 3 months. So I have.
Oh, how fun! Little baby.
She had a little bit of fever, not bad, and her husband is out traveling with his work. So we said, "Come here, and we will take care of you and nurse you." And
does your wife nurse or not?
No. We're just grandparents.
Oh, you're grandparents.
We're just grandparents. So my daughter is fine, but she has, as I said, 2 small children, and they have a little bit of fever. So we just say, "Come here, we will take care of you. We'll feed you." So, but it won't be before half an hour. So we are fine for now, Tori. And we can even carry on. Just so you know, there might be a little bit of noise in the background.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. But just so you know, if it is something where you feel like you need to go, we can always do a part 2.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
So just so you know, I don't want you to feel like, God, they're really, they need you, but you can't. You got to stay here. You don't.
Right.
We can leave in a minute, and then we'll do a part 2 another time.
Yeah. Thanks for that. No, I was accused of stealing or ripping off money from the church because the church stats crashed after the internet came out.
Right. That's because me opening up those phony accounts.
Yes.
That was part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know it at the time because I didn't know what they were doing. But now that I look back on it and look at the date, that's exactly when I opened the first account.
It's amazing. It has.
And my auditor, that's how I knew something was weird, because I came back and he said, "I think you can do it, Tori. You're the only one that can do it." And so I said, "All right, what do I need to do?" I went and did it, came back. I said, "I got it done." And he had a grin like as big as a block. You know what I mean? He was like so happy. And I said, "What?" And he looked at me and he said, "You have just changed the history of the internet." And I said, "Bill, how can I change the history of the internet when I don't even know what it is?" But they used that. Do you see what I mean? Like, they knew I didn't know what I was doing. And they knew I was loyal to him, my auditor.
Yeah.
And I trusted him. I said that in session. I said, "I trust you with my life. If you need me, I'll do anything."
Yeah.
I really did. So he really screwed me over in the end. And believe me, his name, Bill Yachty, has been mentioned many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his karma.
Yeah.
Wow. But anyway, I'm glad they didn't. I mean, how did you finally get out when they took your passport? How did you get it back?
They wanted me to confess that I was the one who had ripped off the church and caused the stats to crash by printing magazines, but not really printing all of it, just a little bit, and then pocketing the rest of the money. It was absolutely ridiculous. and I had to turn up with all my receipts. I took the whole bookkeeping and every single receipt. They could see that I had paid the post office. I had done everything, and I had documentation for totally waterproof. And then they said, "Well, you have just falsified the documentation." I said, "You can call it out and check. I mean, come on, this is quite easy." No. We know you are guilty. You can
they know.
You can make it easy on yourself. You can confess now and get it over with, or you can deny, and we will make you confess.
Wow.
We will make you confess.
So what did you do?
And then after 2 weeks, where they what do you call it, interrogated me day and night in Copenhagen, they gave up and they sent me to because if I did confess, I would be kicked out, and my wife would be forced to divorce me. I would lose 2 daughters. Everything would be over. My life would be over. So I and maybe they could even send me down to the police. I mean, ripping off millions. It's an offense. It's a crime. I could be jailed or whatever. I don't know, and I hadn't done anything. So it was not an option to confess. So I had to maintain that this is crazy. I'm innocent. I can prove it. Come on.
Good.
After 2 weeks, they said, "Well, we know he's guilty. We just can't get him to confess." So we sent him over to US. So they sent me over to Mark Rathbun, and he was at FLAG at that time. So he received me and his people, and they took my passport and they kept me for 21 days, where they actually trying to break me down. They interrogated me in the day, in the afternoon, in the evening, at night. They woke me up and made sure that I never really got a full night's sleep. And they would scream, shout at me, and that went on for 21 days. And since I was, my main work was in the printing business, printing for the church, and my boss, the owner of the company, was Notice 7. I couldn't work there because I was in bad standing, so I had no money. I couldn't pay my house rent. My wife was off because we had a daughter who was very little, so she was not working. So we had no money. So we just waited for our house to be. We had a little city house. We just waited for that to be taken away because we couldn't pay the mortgage. So we had money. My wife had to borrow it from her mom because we need to feed the little girl, and she had to feed herself. So we just waited for when our life would totally collapse. And after 21 days, I had to confess.
Oh my God!
I confessed something.
And then what happened?
I confessed something different. Smaller crimes that I made up in order to be able to get my passport and turn back.
I got you.
I meant they bought it because they were fed up. After 21 days, they still couldn't get me to confess, and they tried everything to break me down. They even went out to in Denmark. They sent some people out to my house and telling my wife that I had confessed being with hookers.
Wow.
Just to, it's also rubbish. Just to break her down and turn her against me in order to break me down. I did everything I could. Anyway, I managed to. So they were also losing patience. They said they needed something. So I feeded them these made up crimes, which was not stealing millions, but like smaller things that I hoped I would be able to work my way through without getting kicked out. And they were fed up also, so they bought it and they took it, and I had to pay in dollars, probably about $25,000 back to the church in compensation for these crimes. And I didn't have any money, but I accepted it, and I wrote down an affidavit, and it went down to Publicus Notarius, that's legal office out in town, and it was stamped, and so on, was a legal document. And I owed them that amount of money for the crimes that I had made up, just in order to get my passport and be able to travel with my family, job and everything. And then that's basically how that story ended. But anyway, that was the beginning of my what would you say, defection, because after that experience, I kind of realized that I can't stay in this. This is
you saw the darker side of them.
Exactly. it is so mad. It was crazy. It was like a mafioso. It was like,
Right. And
come
see,
on,
that's like both of us have that kind of thing.
right,
But most Scientologists, for anybody watching this, don't ever see that. Or
right.
until they do, then that's when they leave.
Yeah, I
But
totally agree. Yeah.
yeah. All right, now I've got to ask you some questions because there's 5 questions. So the first one is from Ozzy O, and it says, Robert, if you were older, do you think you would have joined? Because you're like, I was the same. I was 22, you were 20. You know, we were like young people when we joined. And so
And
you're much more susceptible at those ages.
yes,
I
and
think
you're
that's what,
looking for a path. I mean, you just moved from home. You're looking for a path in your life, how to achieve
right,
success with what you want and establishing yourself. So of
right.
course, that's a good age, good age to recruit people. You are, as you say, much more susceptible to that kind of offers. But there are also people joining when they're older. I would say one important thing is the internet, because if the internet had been there, I might not have joined, because that's why
Oh,
they
yeah. That's a whole
so
different thing.
catastrophic for the church, because now you can
Right.
just search and see all the horror stories.
Yeah.
So, and I would have done the same. If the internet had been there and I've been maybe a little bit older, I would have searched on Scientology and seen all the horror stories and said, maybe I should give it a rain check. So,
Yeah, that's why I always try to tell people when we got in, there was no internet. You know, it
it's
wasn't happening.
right.
So
It
all
came,
the stuff that people know and they go, how could you do that? But it's like we didn't know it. We didn't have access to it.
exactly. That's a very valid point. It
Right.
only came like 20 years after I joined. I joined in 84, and in 94 the internet came out here in Denmark. I remember I got my first internet connection in 94. So about 10 years after. So that is a valid point. We didn't have information uh,
Right.
available to us like we do today. So probably
But
my
that's a good thing to let other people know because a lot of people don't get it. And I learned that on TikTok. I went on TikTok and made a little video and all these kids were like, how could you, you know, fall for this stuff? And I said, all the stuff you know, I've spent 20 years, 26 years now educating people about the abuses of Scientology. And that's on the internet. So you can pop on and read it and look at it and know it. But you and I, we didn't have that access.
but probably your followers on TikTok, they don't believe you because I remember sometimes when I tell my daughters that when I and my wife, when we were young, we didn't have mobile phones.
Right.
They just laugh. Come on, of course you had.
Really?
Yeah, because
We were just
they grew
talking about that.
up
About
with phones. They grew up with the internet. So for them, it's like, you're joking. Of course you had internet. Of course you had mobile
wow.
phones.
Get them to read some books.
We didn't, and that is a part of the explanation, I believe.
Okay, now here's another one from A Voice Down Under. Uh, let's see, did I put it up there? I have a list of more than 550 names of people's lives have been cut short due to Scientology doctrine. Wow,
And
that's fantastic. I mean, it's not fantastic that it was cut short, but I'm happy that you have that list.
oh yeah, yeah.
That's good. All right, now here's from, this is from Japan of Green Gables. All right. I think there was someone who died in the Fort Harrison Hotel because they convinced him to get off his anticonvulsants and he had a seizure and hit his head. That is correct. I didn't know about it until I got out, but
Okay,
when I got out, I found out that someone did die because they got him off all his medicine and he died.
right, right. Yeah, terrible.
It's awful. It's
Yeah,
really awful.
terrible.
So thank you for mentioning that. Now, JB808 says, question, sorry if you already answered this, but are there hotels in Denmark still operating under the same conditions as it was back then?
The answer is
The dark hotels.
The answer is yes. This is my latest book.
Oh, that's your latest book?
Yes, The Dark Hotels and the Children, the Scientologist Children. That's a book that came out in 2024. It's on Amazon.
Wow.
And these hotels are still here. They're still inhabited, so to speak, by the Sea Org. They still run it. They have sold some of the hotels. They own a lot of buildings in Copenhagen. They sold some of them, bought new ones. As we speak, they have 3 hotels in the Copenhagen area. 2 of them in the midst of Copenhagen, and 1 a bit outside Copenhagen. And that's where the Sea Org members are living. And that's how it is as we speak today. So yes,
Wow.
the answer.
That is awful. I mean, I'm glad you told me, because I keep thinking, I don't know why I do, but well, I know why, because Osa called me in the 90s and said, the kids have all joined gangs, so we got to get rid of them. And that's how they came up with no babies in the Sea Org. And so I thought all the kids, are pretty much gone. I mean, unless they're growing up in this side in Scientology. But the fact that they have 3 buildings of them, are they still recruiting young kids?
They're trying to, but it's not easy for Scientology to recruit anybody today. Now, a couple of years back, some Ukrainians came to Denmark because of the war in Ukraine. And some of them were invited into the church, and they didn't know anything about Scientology. So they had tried to put a bunch of Ukrainians, including their children, into Scientology, because the people were in Denmark because they needed some safe place for themselves. And we have opened, like many other European countries, opened the borders for Ukrainians, of course. And then someone is trying to recruit them because they don't know what Scientology is, and but that's just how they do.
Yeah, I knew they were here in America. They're recruiting people from other countries because they can't get a lot of Americans.
Right.
So one day I saw a stress test table, and I could tell the lady was either from Germany or Russia. And so I sat down, and she said, "Do you want to do a stress test?" And I said, "Sure." And I picked up the cans, and she said, "What is stressing you right now?" And I said, "David Miscavige." And the meter just read really hard. And she looked at me just shocked. And I said, "I know. I was in it for 30 years. I'm an OT7. I escaped out. I suggest you start reading the internet." And this guy came running down the street. "Don't talk to her. Don't talk to her. She's an SP. She's horrible, this and that." And luckily I had warned her. I said, "They're going to come in about a minute and tell you how horrible I am," which works every time, because then, once you tell them, then they do it. And then it's like, "See, I warned you." All right. So now Kelly says, "Good for you for standing your ground." Wait. What happened? Standing your ground, Robert. What a slimy excuse for a church. Yeah, it really isn't a church. It's really, I call it mind control, financial fraudulent business pretending to be a church.
Yeah.
Because it really is a business. I mean, let's face it. You have to pay for everything. And now you have to pay to say you're a Scientologist. Did you know that?
No.
Huh?
No, haven't heard about that.
Well, you joined the IIS, right?
Yep.
That's part of it. You can't really do more things until you're part of the IIS.
Yeah, of course. Yes, that was back in '85. I think that happened in Denmark.
Right. Yeah. And I was already a HASI member, which is the Hubbard Association of Scientology International. And so one time I was walking down the street. Normally they never talk to me, but I went by a Sea Org member and I said, "What happened to the HASI membership?" And she stopped in her tracks and said, "HASI membership?" It's like, you could tell it brought her back in time. You know what I mean? It was someone that knew her life different than what it is. It's a good thing to mention. All right, so now it says, Sieglin says, "The internet has totally killed Scientology, true. And the irony is that they tried to use the net to their advantage, thinking that they were so much smarter than the non-Scientologists. I know, it's really true.
Yeah,
I mean, I was shocked when I met the critics finally after escaping out, because they're so nice. And it's like, when you're in, they're like, they're so horrible and there's nothing out there for you. And, you're going to be all alone and nobody will hire you and all this stuff. And nothing could be farther from the truth.
right. People tend to be actually quite nice.
I know they really are. Many, many people help me from
Yeah.
all different walks of life.
Yeah.
All right, now a voice down under says the Nordland Hotel got renovated and is now for paying guests who are taking Scientology courses. Okay.
I heard that, and so that's basically only a few Sea Org members living at. There's still some living there, as per what I heard. But after the renovations, I think it was in 2023 or maybe even more recent. The intention is to only have it as a hotel for paying members that comes to AOSH to do their training or OT levels. They can live.
Ah,
So that's basically the intention is to have it as a fully commercial and not for staff. But I think, as far as I heard, there are still some staff living there. But anyway, that is also what I heard. Yes.
sure. All right, now here's a question. This is from JB808. Question: what was the most shocking and most damning thing you've learned about Scientology while writing your book?
My latest book is about the children who grew up here in Copenhagen in these hotels, and the way they were treated in general. Where the whole story is shocking because it was much worse than I expected. I remember when I was on staff, I did go to one of the hotels, the one that's called Hotel Corona, which the church bought in '79. And I went there because it was on the purification rundown. And the purification rundown takes a lot of running, and then afterwards you go into the sauna and sweating for 5 or 6 hours and taking huge amounts of vitamins.
Nice.
The sauna was in the basement under Hotel Corona, and me and my twin, we were allowed in just to go to that sauna. So therefore, we had to enter the courtyard, enter the building, walk over the courtyard and down the stairs down to the basement where the sauna was. And there, I saw all the filth, the rats, and stuff, and I saw also all the trash that they just threw down into the courtyard. But I also saw some kids playing football, fighting each other, screaming and shouting at each other and stuff. And it stuck with me. I never did anything. I was being a new Scientologist. I thought, this is a Sea Org, everything is good. It must be under control. So I kind of turned the blind eye, which is a terrible thing to do. But I did. I was like 20 or 21 years old, and for me it was a new, exciting world, and I heard the Sea Org is like the top. So, but I saw these children almost every time we came. There were some children playing or fighting, whatever. I turned a blind eye, but it stuck with me. And then after my television documentary back in 2015, one of these children contacted me. She had seen me on television, and she said, "Robert, I actually grew up I was born at Hotel Nordland. I grew up there. Later, I was moved to Hotel Corona. So all of my childhood was in the Sea Org, and I want to talk to you and tell you about it." And that's how I came about. That story is heartbreaking. It's because I have children myself. Now I have even grandchildren, and it's utterly heartbreaking. The whole story is so incredible how you can treat children like that. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And that they still do it.
They still do it.
That's the thing that, I mean, to me, when Leah and Mike interviewed all those kids, and it was just like one horror story after another, and they're having a difficult time in their life, as grown-ups.
Of course.
because they had so much creepiness happen to them. So the fact that Scientology wouldn't go, all right, we got to stop this, really, is just insane. It really is. It really shows how evil they are.
Yeah, and then I started finding more children, not children anymore, but who were children back then, and interviewing them and talking to them. And then at the end, I thought I need to. None of them are going to tell that story because most of them don't want to talk about it. Most of them don't want to be associated with Scientology.
Right.
So many of them I have anonymized in the book, putting them under a fictive character called Lucas. And Lucas is victorious, but the things that he experienced are experiences that these children have told me. So
that's a good idea.
Some of them have changed the place or the year, so it's not easy for the church to find out who it was.
Good.
But
good.
Basically, he's experiencing these things. And then I have also some who are willing to come forward with their name and everything. And of course, they have been named by their proper names in the book. But that's basically what this is all about. It also says the dark hotels and Scientologist children. And that is about all the children, hundreds and hundreds of children who grew up in the Copenhagen hotels. And it's a story that wouldn't have been told otherwise. Because none of these people are willing or capable or to tell the story. So I was picking up that one and publishing the books. And it's been well received, I must say. It's been very well received. And I've had a lot of, I'm holding a lot of public lectures about it. Last year I held 54 public lectures last year alone. And this year I have 78 public lectures all around the country telling about this story. So it's getting a lot of attention, fortunately, because it's a story. It's not a very happy story, but it has its good points because some of these children actually made it, and they made it, and they managed to establish a life, get a family, get a job, everything against all odds,
Right.
And it's also part of this story that it can be a happy ending, but it surely wasn't happy end for all. I mean, many of these people, they haven't been able to get their life together afterwards. They are so damaged that they can't live a proper life after that, and that's also part of this story. But for me, after that woman contacted me saying that she grew up at Norland and Corona, I said, okay, here's a story that absolutely needs to be told. So that's why I wrote the book, and it's now in. It took a while, but I got it translated, and it's now available on Amazon.com. So it's also
good.
How much interest this would have over there, because this happened in small Copenhagen. But anyway, it's available.
It's important. And here's your website. This is a website that you. All right, so it's. What? How do you say that? Can you hear me?
Yes.
How do you say that?
That's Danish. Sorry. Afhabon.
What is it?
Afhabon.
Afferman?
Afhabon. It means the defector.
Oh, the defector and that's in Danish?
It's in Danish, yes.
Ah, cool. When it opens, there is a short choice to switch it to English. Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
I only speak Danish, but if the browser can come. Oh yeah, I see it's changed to it. Yeah, excellent. That's
good for you. Good for you, Robert. I'm really proud of you. That's really wonderful. And especially the one about the hotels. That's really important.
Oh yes. Yes, thank you very much.
And do you have a YouTube site?
I made some YouTube videos, but I don't know if I have it anymore. I don't use it, so I might still have a channel. I'm not even aware of that. But
all right, it might be a good way to promote your books.
Yeah.
You know, because you could do like an interview a week, and promote your book and talk to somebody. You know, you could have me on, and I can talk about, we can talk like we're talking right now, and only it'd be on your side, and then you can promote your book, and it's a really good way to get it out, because a lot of people see things. You may think it's a little small country, but when you get on the internet, it's a whole different thing.
I believe that's true.
Yeah, I know it is. If you can type in the chat, Robert, I can find your YouTube channel. Oh, okay. Can you type your YouTube channel? Is it your name?
I don't remember. It's so many years since I did it, so I can't even remember. Maybe I can find it.
It's probably his name, Kelly. Well, for the people that have stayed on, thank you so much. Oh, Tori, are you telling me you're an OT7 and can't speak every language in the world? I am telling you that. Yes, absolutely. I can only speak one language, and I've been trying to learn Spanish for a long time, because there's a ton of Spanish-speaking people here. But it's hard. I'm not good at learning languages. Kelly, can you send me Robert's website just so I can check it out afterwards? All right. And it's TORI, just so you know, Japan of Green Gables. All right. And JB808 said, question, has writing the book and hearing all the tragic stories taken a toll on your mental health in any way, or has it been therapeutic and healing?
Oh, good question. I think it was very tough, that period, because I spent more than a year interviewing people and writing and so on, researching. It was incredibly tough, but it's I've got so much positive feedback from these, what could you call them, ex-children.
Sure.
The book came out. I mean, people are writing me saying they read the book in 12 hours. I mean, it's 400 pages.
Wow.
There was one, and I had some. I was interviewed in one of the talk shows in Danish television, and this guy bought the book, and he wrote to me the day or 2 days after that he read it in one go, 12 hours just reading, and he said it was like having a close friend that I haven't had since then, who understands me, and who.
That's so great.
So and he said when he went up for after finishing the book, he went to bed, and before he went to bed, his wife was already sleeping. He was looking in the children's room, and his 2 children were lying sleeping, and he looked at them and thought, they are not going to have the same childhood as I had.
Right.
There was responses like that I've gotten after the book was released, and that's incredibly rewarding. I mean, that's the most important thing for me. It's because I'm telling their story, and they are very happy and touched by it. So in that way, it's been rewarding.
Yeah, very. Yeah, I've had people from other cults contact me and thank me. I mean, the first were some young kids, and they said, Magoo, we were watching your videos and we were laughing at you, making fun of you on a Friday night. And then one of the guys said, they were Jehovah's Witnesses at the time. And one of the guys said, really, we do the same thing, just so you know. And they all ended up waking up and getting out, and they wrote me and said, thank you so much. And I used to always do real corny stuff at the beginning of my videos, because in the early 2000s, some of the guys were really, really serious. And I felt like it was too serious and it would turn people off. So I'd have like Mr. Anonymous, and stuff like that, just goofy stuff. And I'd start out with that, and then I'd go into the Scientology stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, it is rewarding to help people. It really is.
Yeah.
So good for you. Thank you for coming on and sharing all this. It's wonderful.
No, it's nice of you to having me, Tori. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do too. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate everybody that stayed on because, we've been on since 8. But thankfully, T came on, and that was fun. I learned things about her that I didn't ever know. So
Oh,
that was neat. So it was kind of fun. And I figured eventually, once Kelly realized we had the wrong time, then it was like, okay, we're good. Yeah, so there you go. All right. So is there any questions or any comments before we end off? Or do you have anything you'd like to say?
not for me. I told most of what. I mean, it's always difficult because there's so many. It's so many years. There's so many things. But I'm to be able to talk to you and tell about my story and my new book and just to chat with you, Tori. It's been nice.
I know it's been really nice. So we'll have to do a part 2 at some point.
Good idea.
All right, good. Well, have a wonderful night. Your kids and your wife are coming home, so that'll be wonderful. Or I guess it's a day tomorrow for you, right?
Yes, it's in the morning here.
Yeah, it's in the day. So have a wonderful day.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Thank
Thank you again. And now we will see you when you come on again. All right. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to Kelly for moderating. And have a good rest of the week for each person. All right. I'm going to sign off now. Good night, Robert.
All right. Good night.
Thank you. It's really nice.